What famous phrase did Caesar utter when he crossed the river Rubicon? The die is cast. What was the wave of pro-democracy protests that began in Tunisia at the end of 2010 and spread across the Arab world called? The Arab Spring. Which king led the territorial expansion of Babylon and laid the foundations of its empire? King Hammurabi. What was the prison that became the symbolic site of the outbreak of the French Revolution? Bastille Prison. What was one of the most important wars fought in the early Roman Empire to expand its territory? The Dacian Wars of Conquest. Which Mongol leader built a vast empire across the Eurasian continent in the 13th century? Genghis Khan. Why do Muslims pray facing Mecca? Because it is their holy city. What was the name of the American fleet that appeared in Edo Bay in 1853 to demand the opening of Japan? Perry Fleet. Which Greek city revolted against Macedon after Alexander the Great came to the throne? Thebes. In ancient Greece, what were the heavily armed infantrymen who went into battle called? Hoplites. In which modern country are most of the ancient cities found at Indus civilization sites located? Pakistan. What kind of road network did Assyria build to move troops and supplies quickly? A military road network. In year 1945, atomic bombs were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Which country dropped these bombs? The United States. What is thought to have been the cause of the decline of the Indus civilization? Environmental changes and external invasions. The Sphinx is a figure that combines what with what? A human face and a lion's body. Which 1942 naval battle turned the tide of the Pacific War? The Midway Bow. What was a major change in transportation brought about by the Industrial Revolution? The advent of the railway. For what purpose were the seals found at Indus civilization sites used? As commercial seals. What impact did Assyria have on the cultures of the regions it ruled? Integration and blending of the cultures of conquered lands. Which philosopher argued that being is one and unchanging? Parmenides. What did the kings of the Zhou dynasty emphasize to maintain their power? Rule by virtue. In which battle did Napoleon suffer his final defeat? Waterloo Battle. What were the main economic activities of the Indus civilization? Agriculture and trade. In ancient Athens, what was the hill on which the major temples were concentrated? The Acropolis. What was the purpose of Louis XIV in building the Palace of Versailles? to display his power and control the nobility. What is the method by which Socrates drew out truth through dialogue? The Maieutic method. In ancient Sparta, what kind of environment was created in order to raise children to be tough? They were subjected to harsh conditions such as coarse food and austere living. What is the name of the Moroccan institution known as the oldest university in the world? Al-Qarawiyyin. What was the pact concluded just before World War II in which Germany and the Soviet Union agreed on mutual non-aggression and the division of Poland? The Non-Aggression Treaty between Germany and the Soviet Union. On what year and date did Alexander the Great die? June 10, year 323 BC. What kind of thought did Confucius advocate? Confucianism. What was the early Frankish dynasty that allied with the Catholic Church to expand its influence in Europe? The Merovingian dynasty. From where did Xerxes I watch the battle during the Battle of Salamis? From the hill opposite Salamis. What script, found in the palaces of the Mycenaean civilization, recorded the administrative and economic activities of its kings? Linear B. Why did Louis XIV say, "I am the state"? To emphasize his absolute royal authority. Who was the leader of the nonviolent resistance movement that led India's independence struggle? Mahatma Gandhi. What was the economic center owned by a feudal lord called? The manor. What object symbolized the authority of the pharaoh? The crown, scepter, and staff. What construction technique, used in the Mycenaean civilization, built fortification walls by stacking massive stones? Cyclopean architecture. Which architectural order in ancient Greek architecture is characterized by a simple yet imposing style? The Doric order. Thank you for watching until the end. We'd love to hear your feedback and historical insights in the comments. Your support helps us create even more history quizzes. Let's keep exploring together.